What's good, y'all? Thanks for joining me for this episode of the HipHopHumboldt Podcast. I'm blessed right now to be joined in the studio with Rachel Know.El and Queen Sequoyah.
Oh, shit. About the queen.
Hey, most definitely. No, we got to let them know. I appreciate y'all so much for joining me right now. I want to first pay the bills and get that out of the way and give a shout out to the sponsors.
Of course.
And then, this is your time, so you guys get into, whatever you want to. The only thing I kind of do on the episodes is like move the timeline forward. I definitely want to hear about you guys' history, what you guys have been doing. And other than that, this is up to you guys to whatever you guys want to get on it. So with that being said, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the sponsors. I want to give a shout out to Garth Cultivator. He's out there. He's been doing it out there. Thank you so much, Garth Cultivator. We got Matthew O'Brien with the Skullface Project. He's a sponsor of the podcast. We got Rhapsodic Global, and that's Anthony DeLuca. Shout out to Dope Logic. He's one of the best out there. Oh, you guys are killing this already. I love it. I need to bring you guys every episode. Who else? We got Juice at the Juice Box. Shout out to Juice, another one of the sponsors. And I don't think I'm missing anybody. Actually, I am missing one person. Shout out to Dr. Nathan Webb at the Center for Natural Medicine in Arcata. Doing great work down there. Acupuncturist. Holler at Dr. Nathan Webb.
I might have to.
Yes, he's doing great work. I'm telling you.
We begin.
It's crazy what the needles can do, when they're in the right spots, It's really crazy.
Yeah.
But so with that out of the way now, again, thank you guys so much for taking your afternoon to be here with this podcast and get your story, your stories on the pod. You guys right now, I just want to make sure that people know you guys are killing it out there. So you guys are two people that are amongst multiple people as a part of the Vagabond Dancers.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then separately, you guys have you guys also hail from probably different other cliques and maybe another troop or two potentially. Am I right about that?
Many.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yes.
We're both a part of a couple different crews. Yeah.
Yes. Heck yeah. So whatever you guys, I want to get into all of it, but I'm not sure who wanted to start. Like again, I said I wanted to just give respect to what you guys have been doing for the local dance and party scene. Actually, the party scene. You guys are really killing it right now, and it's showing that I'm not saying without dancers, but it's a real draw. You know what I mean? And so Joey out there, shout out to Joey, who's out there killing it.
Yeah.
But
love you, Joe.
Yes.
You better be watching.
Yeah.
And the whole Arcane crew, you know what I mean? But again, so I'm gonna fall back and let you guys get into it though. Thank you so much.
You make a good point though. Like it's really hard to count the number of times that I've been after I get off stage and get approached by someone in the audience who's been watching and they're like, man, you're killing it tonight. You're totally bringing up the vibe. You're giving me life. You're giving me energy. They are really, really appreciative and drawn in by it. And there's just countless moments like that where I feel somebody has expressed some level of appreciation for the extra energy and life that we bring to the parties and everything like that. And I think it is true, you might be at any whatever bar, and you're listening to music, you're drinking, you're bopping, having a good time, chatting with friends and everything. But to have this visual component to the whole performance, you know what I mean? I feel really brings you more into the moment of the performance, whereas music can so easily be background noise, and then, and the DJs are up there expressing themselves, sharing their art, trying to provide this this experience, this ambiance or whatever. And so I think that the dancers, the presence of dancers helps people kind of pay more attention to all of the art that's happening, there's a sort of symbiosis in that way, and it's really cool.
We're there to create a vibe, and we are essentially moving the audience. We are doing crowd work. We are actively pulling people in, and then it's waves. They go back to take a break, and then we're no, we're still here. And there's times of the night where where we specifically need dancers, because if people come in and they see like the dance floor is kind of empty, it's like maybe the DJ's not doing so great, he's the opener and he's just kind of like, you know, the vibes are, if you don't see the dancer on stage like pulling you in and creating that vibe, you're more likely to just go head over to Everett's. And,
there's like
you
something
know?
really enticing about like the visual entertainment aspect, you know, because like DJs can like, you know, do their thing and everything like that, but they
usually
still,
something like this.
yeah, they still have to like, you know, do their like mixing thing, and they have to be behind the table. Like maybe every once in a while they can come out from around the table and like, you know, jam with the audience for a second, but like most of the time they kind of have to be like pretty stationary, and so it's not like the most like, you know, engaging like thing to watch, you know what I mean? And like, especially like at a venue like the ATL or like somewhere where there's this huge stage, you know what I mean? It's like this, there's like so much space and like so much possibility and opportunity and everything like that. And so it really is. And like, kind of just to piggyback on what Sequoyah was saying too, like the idea that like we're giving the audience energy and then they're also giving us energy. Like there's been so many times when I'm like, you know, I'm like, okay, like I've been up here for a minute, I'm pretty tired, like the song's really minutes. Good, but like yeah. But yeah, like I'm like, all right, like I think I might, you know, be about to get off, and then somebody will like run up to the front of stage.
Yes.
You know, I'm like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? And they just like, yeah, they give me life, you know, and then I like can keep going for a little while. And yeah, so there's like definitely an exchange that happens that's really really cool. Like I always tell people when they ask me like, oh, like what, you know, what's up with go-go dancing for real? I'm like, yo, I get paid to party. Like it's fucking dope. Like I'm sorry, it's just like really cool, you know? Like I do what I would do at a party anyways, which is dance, but I do it on stage, you know what I mean? And I get paid and I get to like help elevate other people's experiences, you know what I mean? And that's really cool. So I'm very grateful for like the opportunities that I've had, you know, like through Arcane and like through Vagabond and everything, especially. And like there wouldn't be, like I wouldn't be doing any of the things that I'm doing now if it hadn't been for that. Like me getting involved in Vagabond, like I met Sequoyah. Sequoyah had connections with the ATL. I got brought on to the Nostalgia crew with DJ Gabe Pressure and like DJ Static and Divinity, and then like working for them at the ATL also like made like opened up opportunities for me to do other gigs at the ATL that maybe those DJs aren't playing at, you know. And then from there I'm like, okay, well now I'm getting a lot of go-go experience. And then like I got to like dance at my first festival last year, you know. I danced at Northern Nights with like Balkan Bump and at the Bunker stage and everything, and like none of that would have been able to happen if I hadn't like joined Vagabond in the first place and like started to collect like the experience and the stamina, you know, like we were talking about like 30 minutes and stuff. Like when I first started, like 7 minutes was like, oh dude, I'm done, you know. And now like there's like something about like being up there and like kind of like really like just I don't know, like pushing through those little moments where like, dude, I'm so tired, you know, but the song is really good and the audience is loving it. I don't want to like, I don't want to stop. And so now like, yeah, now I can be up there for 30 minutes, you know, and it's kind of wild, like to think about like where I was last year and like how like there's, I mean, that's just like one way that go-go dancing has helped me improve as like a dancer, an entertainer, performer, like improviser too, because you never know what's coming and you always have to be like anticipating like the next thing, the next sound, the next drop, the next whatever, you know what I mean? Sometimes you catch it, sometimes you don't. And you also get really used to like, oh, like I didn't catch that, but it's okay, I'll get the next one. So you kind of like start to forgive yourself for like making little mistakes. There's like, there's a lot of like practice also that happens like during the performance. And like even just like connecting with audience too, like a lot of like performances happen on stages that are super far away from their audiences. And like I grew up doing theater on like stages, like stage lights, and the audience is back there, and like, you know, I can't really like, I can't see anybody's face. I can kind of forget that they're there and like put up that fourth wall. Whereas when I'm like at the jam, you know what I mean, and they're like right there, you know, I'm like, yo, what up? Very so I like intimate. I have to connect with them, you know, and like so it's sometimes a totally
they're not
thing.
Connectable.
Yeah. Yeah, but oftentimes they are.
Yes, yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is Efrain.
How you guys doing?
Hi.
Good morning.
Well, yeah, so we should start with introductions now that we're all together. I'm so glad to have these two by my side. Please, no one be offended. But these two are the most talented in Humboldt, I swear. Like, they're top on my list of the first people that I reach out to when I get booked with gigs. Like, you know, but yeah, I want them to speak for themselves, and yeah.
We've been talking for a minute. Do you want to?
Yeah.
We were just talking about like the experience of like go-go dancing. I was just talking about some of the things that I've like gained from the experience, and just like what it provides to a scene, you know, like to like any particular party, you know what I mean? Like what adding the dancers like provides to what's already there, and how much that like elevates an experience. And then like I was just kind of talking about some of the things that I've like gained personally from like
let's do a little.
Oh,
What's your elevator pitch? What's your little tell if people don't know who you are, how do you not know who Efrain is? But
let's see. Where do I start?
Yeah.
What's your name?
My name is Efrain, and I've been dancing for a really long time. You know, I'm from Massachusetts, and I was in, you know, a theater company and a dance company, and that's kind of where it started for me. My mom was also a dancer, so like that's a lot of where my abilities come from.
It's in your jeans.
Yeah, it's in my jeans.
It's
in my sweatpants. And yeah, I guess dancing.
Are you gonna mention So You Think You Can Dance?
Oh, well, yeah, I auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance about 4 times.
And got pretty far.
That's so awesome. That's honestly just a little side note. Like, I've been watching So You Think You Can Dance since I was like 16 years old. And
I was a kid.
When I was like, I mean, yeah.
Sorry.
A few years older than you. No, yeah, like I remember like getting to the point where I was like, okay, like I really want to audition. Like I think I could actually potentially maybe make it a round or two in the audition. I don't know, you know, but like, so I was like trying to like get myself to a place where I like felt comfortable like technically enough to do it, but they cut it off at like 30 or 31 or something like that. I just missed the cutoff like last year or something.
Because there's so many people that are 30 plus years who still can dance and kill it. And, I mean, yeah, I auditioned about 4 times, and I never really wanted to get on the show, just because like I don't really want to be on TV like that. But for me, it was more like I would audition, and if I could get past a certain point, then I was like, I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like I am a dancer. You
Yeah,
know?
you totally are.
So each time I auditioned, I got a little bit further, and then when I got to the judges, I was like, yeah, I don't really want to get any further than that. Like,
Yeah, but you did that,
I got to the judges, and then
That's sick.
had I like gotten I'm not gonna lie, I was just like, I'm done. I don't really care anymore. It's like, because I didn't really want to be on TV, but it was for me just kind of like, you know, if you can do this, then you are a dancer. Like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I mean, the producer saw something in you to get to the judges' point, right? Which is like, how many millions of people audition?
Oh God, so many.
You know?
And it's a scary thing too, just to like see, you know, the other amazing dancers, and you would see people who you would be like, oh, they're getting on the show, you know, like they're gonna do it, and
then they wouldn't,
and then they didn't make it. So it's like it's not even just about being a good dancer, it's about having like a stage presence.
It's interesting how you're talking about, and I don't mean to like, I want to get back to this after you like finish your introduction, but yeah, just like how you're talking about like having this experience like help prove to yourself that you're a dancer. But so I have like a thought about that, but I just wanted to like take that for a second, hold that thought, and like let you finish your intro.
So I did that, and you know, I just kind of proved to myself that I was good enough to like be a dancer. And after that, joined a couple dance company things, and then I moved here and kind of realized I'm like the only male dancer that dances for shows and stuff, and all of Humboldt right now. and you know, that can be a lot for me too, just like you know, trying to keep like my energy like for everyone. And I mean, for me it's really great because there's a lot of like, you know, people who like will come up to me like, oh, that was like great, like you did really good. And I'm hoping one day it'll be like another guy dancer, like, oh, that was great. How do I get to join and do that?
I just want to let you know, I've actually like overheard 2 male-bodied people talking to Joey about wanting to dance.
Finally.
Go.
Yeah, because it's a lot of pressure being the only guy in the group.
Well, and we also like need more demand for wider costume options.
That's always the worst part for me is the costumes, because I've gotten people, to come up to me like, oh, like that was great, but I wish like you had a better outfit. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I don't have.
I also wish.
Are you gonna buy it for me?
Costumes.
I was like, I don't have that. Like, I never had that like ability of having like clothing option. Like, like you guys have like really nice outfits, and
and we can all share too.
Yeah, we can share. And like when like Joey or someone will be like, okay, we're gonna like order some things or whatever, and it's always like female oriented,
and that's when I just am like, I'm gonna wear jeans and a shirt. That's all.
And then you go up there and fucking kill
it.
But yeah,
you can wear a potato sack and still blow everyone away.
But yeah, it's really nice to have like even males come up to me and say like, oh, that was awesome, like you killed it. But hopefully, like my hope is that like you guys just said, like two new male dancers wanting to be a part of that, and that's great. Like I can't wait to have that in the group, because my back is
Joey
tired.
get to pass that the experience down.
Yeah, exactly. And then I've been wanting to like get to a point of having more choreography, but just I've been exhausted with working and all that stuff. So to keep up with all of it, it really takes a lot.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big, like, probably a big reason why Sequoyah invited us here today, is like that idea that, I know like a lot of professional dancers, and I also know that most of them have another career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that most of them have to, you know what I mean? Because like dance isn't going to provide for them what it should or could or
because it takes so much like energy to dance
like,
for as long as we dance.
Well, yeah. And like to have the luxury of like, I'm going to go and like work for 6 hours in the studio today, you know what I mean, and like be able to take dance seriously as like your full-time job would require a lot more out of society than they're giving us right now.
I mean,
like we'd have to get paid like way more per gig. We'd have to get way more gigs. People have to like think of us, they have to like
and
think of bringing dancers into the conversation,
and value what we have to offer, and
then value it,
because there is so much value, going back to how we started things. Having dancers on stage is valuable. Hey guys, having dancers on stage is valuable.
Because how many times have we all, even just like being out and like dancing, where when you start dancing like in a bar where the music is hot but nobody's dancing around, and then like a couple of us get together and we're just like we're dancing, doing make up a little routine for a second, and then everybody slowly creeps to the floor.
You give people permission, you know what I mean? Because it's like, we're also like,
I've had people honestly be like, if I ever feel like kind of weird in myself, like I just look at you guys and I try to copy what you're doing, and then I learn new moves and I feel more comfortable, and then it gives you permission.
It's like magic what it does for other people, like even people who aren't comfortable doing choreography or dancing, but just getting out there, that's like a big step.
And we're really like, just to veer off into a whole nother realm of like whatever, but like it's just kind of making me think about like the like somatic like effects of like having dancers that encourage other people to dance
Yes.
and like move their bodies
Yes.
and move energy through their bodies, and like the somatic levels of like healing and processing and energy moving and like all of that thing that happens like when you just like let go on a dance floor. Like that's a super powerful experience. And so to be able to like be a steward and like encourage people to like feel free to do that is actually like a really cool, like, you know, like like therapeutic like assistance, you know.
It's the way to open the energy up. It really, really is. You know, like just for you guys have been, you know, doing these Arcane Artist shows for a few years now, unless I'm wrong. You know, and you guys have been dancing for even longer than that.
Yes.
Sure.
So, you know, just for instance, like at the show that I ran back in July at the Arcade Playhouse, you know, I want to give a shout out to a couple friends that really started it off. One of my friends, Carmel, just started dancing on the dance floor, and all the attention went to her. And then everybody felt like, okay, we can start hitting the dance floor. And then Rowdy was like, all right, let's hit the dance floor. He goes out there and starts, you know, dancing and pulling people out. And they come out and start dancing. There has to be somebody.
Nobody wants to be the first one.
Yes.
So, like,
I do.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It like takes the brave souls, you know what I mean? Who will be like, I'll go out there. Nobody's dancing. I'll go out there. You know, like
I know it's always them.
And it's like that saying. It's like dance like nobody's watching. Like that's literally like if you're scared of people watching something, just close your eyes and just keep moving.
I mean, don't worry about it.
And
they're watching us. So
and that's cool. And I mean, I feel like that's even true for us. Like I know me personally. Like sometimes I get really like overwhelmed with all of the energy that's flying around me and everything. It's like lights and loud music and like crowds and energy and eyeballs, and it was like, oh my god, shit, you know.
Especially the big shows.
Like I feel like, you know, there's a certain level of like, if I can like detach myself just a little bit, you know what I mean, and really like ground into my body and then like focus on the music and kind of like like nobody is here. I am just dancing for myself. Like me and this music are having a conversation right now. Everybody happens to be witnessing it, but that's like a side point, you know what I mean? It's like a byproduct or whatever. And I feel like those are like some of my like best like dance moments on stage sometimes is when
it's like when you're like free. Like,
you're just like,
exactly. Doesn't even matter what I'm doing because it feels good. Like I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but on stage I do that a lot. Where I just close my eyes and just like,
oh yeah. I really like to find my shadow, and sometimes that means turning away from the crowd. And sorry, I keep smacking the table. But that's it brings me back into, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna play with shapes, and it's just me and my shadow, and it's not this big crowd behind me, or turning around and straight up just not even looking, and
just
for me it's the colorful lights. I feel I'm getting like washed in a color bath or something like that, and I just like I see I don't know, and it's some weird way, like I see the color and I see it hitting me like from a different, I don't know, it's like this weird thing, you know, so it's almost like I can see like what it probably looks like from the outside or something like that, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. And then I just really like sink into that, you know, and I'm like, this is a cool moment, you know what I mean? And like that feels really good. Like I like the light effects, you know.
One thing I do want to say to people that have been to parties out there, you know, it is not easy for dancers to stay in sync with music that they are not creating. You guys are staying in sync with the DJ's music, you know? And so me, I'm the type of person, I'm singing in the shower, I'm singing at shows, you know, and trying to lip sync and, you know, do all this and all that. And you're getting it wrong sometimes because it's not easy to stay in sync with that. Dancers have to stay in sync with that, and that's a superpower that you guys are growing more and more every time you get out there.
Or like being able to like talk to each other without opening your mouth and just being like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and like people are like, how did you guys like make that choreography up? And we're like, we didn't. We just are watching out of the corner of our eyes.
We know certain moves, and we know like how to cue each other for certain things. And we're kind of like, you know, so it like can look like relatively
it's like a secret dance.
It's just chemistry. I mean, it's almost like telepathic. It's like our chemistry, because it's complete improv. Like unless we go out of our way to get a song and make choreography to it, which hasn't happened in a while.
Sorry.
But a lot of people wouldn't know that because we are all just like on the same wavelength. And we're like, okay, like we feel the beat, it's doing this. And then we're looking at each other and we're like, okay, we're going to do this now.
And then we do it.
And then we're now to the other side. And so it's like we're aware of the crowd, we're aware of the DJs, we're aware of each other.
Yeah.
And aware of ourselves all at the same time.
Well, and like there's a certain level of like musicianship in that too, because it's like
musicality
if you know about like musical structure, then you're gonna know that like, okay, this like 4-beat measure is gonna repeat 4 times, and then there's gonna be a transition, and it's gonna go to the next musical phrase, and then that's gonna happen 4 times, and then that happens, and then you hear the you know the drop is coming. You're just like, okay, like, and then you boom, you know, and like, and so you're just kind of like constantly in this like loop of like listening and responding like in real time, you know. And it is a skill, and it's something that like I was saying earlier, like I've definitely like seen develop and like get really strong like over the past like year and a half or whatever that I've been doing this now.
On that
not
note,
dancing, but like
an introduction, Rachel.
Okay. How deep should I go? So my name is Rachel Know.El. I started taking dance classes when I was 7. Grew up like doing a lot of different styles and stuff. Did a lot of jazz and musical theater as a kid. I found.
Where'd you grow up?
In Bakersfield. Yeah. Born in Santa Cruz, raised in Bakersfield. And yeah, I found, well, I like kind of like happened upon belly dance, or I discovered it or fell in love with it or whatever when Hips Don't Lie came out.
Oh God, yes.
On the real.
Thank you, Shakira.
Thank you so much.
Shakira.
So I was like 15 and I was like, oh my God, I want to dance like that. And so I started kind of like practicing like my isolation. So like by the time I left high school, I could do like some sort of like abdominal isolation things because I was just sort of practicing them on my own. I found my first belly dance class. She's doing them
in the chair for those who are not watching.
Just in case you can't see this. I found my first belly dance class when I was 18. I was visiting my dad, and so I took a couple classes while I was in town. And it took me years before I found a class like in my hometown. But I found one when I was 23, and I took lessons from this teacher who was from Turkey for about a year before she added me into her troupe. And then I was in her troupe for like 6 months or a year or something like that before I moved to Humboldt. And so I've been like really focused on like belly dance and Middle Eastern dance since then, but I've been adding a lot of like different modern dance styles too, from like around the world. I've studied like Buto like intensively a couple of times and like different styles of modern dance. So now I'm kind of like in this place where I'm like drawing from all of these influences and everything and like creating my own fusion style. But yeah, I am a professional dancer.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I like, I don't know. I don't want to like get into everything, but you know, I've like been able to do a lot of cool things in the past year. I like went to a national belly dance competition last year and won the professional fusion category. And then they asked me to come back and judge the competition and be a part of like the special like performance that happens. And like I did a lot of like programs and stuff. I like graduated from this professional fusion belly dance program in Vegas this year, and I got accepted into another like a similar program in Germany next summer. So I'm gonna go to Germany and study with some professionals or whatever. Yeah, so you know, I don't need to say everything, but like,
it's also funny and great, because you said "Hips Don't Lie" was like the thing that kind of got you, and I would say that was something for me too. "Hips Don't Lie." I mean, I've always loved Shakira, and I used to watch her videos as a kid all the time when she had the candelabra on her head coming up on the stage doing like amazing moves. And then another person was Aaliyah, the way she had her isolations, and she'd like rock the boat, and like her like that for me also made me like practice on belly dancing. And I did take like a class in Blue Lake once, but it was really intimidating, so I was like, I'm gonna just stick to my belly dancing.
It's really fun to like see how much belly dance and like hip hop overlaps because of like the existence of like isolation technique. You know what I mean? So like the pops and locks is something that's like super prominent in like like a lot of like styles of belly dance, like especially fusion. You know, we love it in fusion, but like even in like Raksharki, which is like the like the most common like style of belly dance that you would think of when you hear the word belly dance. It's like the sparkly like bronze skirt costume thing, you know, and like all that stuff. So it's Rakshaki. But yeah, it comes from Egypt. But yeah, so like in that sense too, I've really been like thinking about like, okay, you know, last year when I went to this competition, I danced and like, I was just like, I'm just going to do what I do. Like, I don't know if it like belongs anywhere. So that also like kind of harkens back to like what you were talking about earlier with like not being sure if you were good enough, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, I was kind of in this place where I'm like, I know I don't fit in any box. I don't have enough like skills or expertise or anything to be like, I'm a jazz dancer or I dance ballet or like anything like in particular. I'm just like, I don't know where I am. Nobody's going to take me seriously, you know? And then like, I was able to do enough like performances with like really, really encouraging people and like kind of put myself out there and like say, this is my style. I don't know what it is. I don't know if anyone's going to like it, but like, this is me, you know? And everybody's like, oh my God. And so like, that gave me kind of like the courage to be able to like keep sharing it and everything. And then when I went and like did this at the dance competition last year afterwards, somebody comes after me and was like, what was that? Like, I've never seen it. Like, what do you even call that?
That's
I'm
what
like,
it was. It was me.
I don't know.
I'm a pioneer.
And so now I'm kind of like understanding it as like a Pan-African fusion where it like involves like, okay, there's like belly dance, which comes from Egypt. There's like hip hop, you know, there's jazz. There's like a lot of modern dance, which a lot of Black dancers were like huge pioneers in the modern dance movement over time. And so I really like, and like West African too, there's a lot of like Afro beats, like dance hall kind of like things that come into play when I think about what inspires me and everything. So like just putting it out there. I don't know why we're going with this, whatever.
You created your own style.
Yeah. I'm like, I still don't know what to call it, but I'm just leaning into like Pan-African fusion or something like that.
Rachel is also a teacher.
Okay. So I teach, I model, I'm a musician, I'm a poet.
Plug your classes, sign up.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So me and my troupe, Zeta Fusion, we teach a dance class, two dance classes actually every Thursday at Redwood Rocks Collective in the Creamery District. Thursday nights from 7 to 9. Classes are $10. We have like a beginning technique class, and then we have an intermediate choreography class after that. So that's my little plug.
And how can they find you to get involved with that?
You can look for us on Instagram at zetafusion.com. That's ZETA Fusion. It's me and 3 other belly dancers who all have like years and years of experience in dancing, but like all kind of come from like slightly different dance backgrounds. And so we're all like trained in different ways and like have like different things that influence us. So we're all like fusion dancers, but we each have like our own little flavor. And so like when we come together and we like make choreographies together, it's like, okay, you take this section, you take this section. And, you know, and we can kind of like really make this like cool thing, you know? And then similarly, when we teach also, because there's 4 of us, we co-teach the class. So each of us will teach like 1 week a month, you know? And so you get like, the students will get the benefit of like, you know, like hearing from this person's perspective and hearing from this person's perspective. And we'll usually like stick with one subject for like a month. And so that way, like you can like really like get into that subject and hear about it from all these different places and everything, and like perspectives and influences and stuff.
For only $10?
Only $10. Probably free.
It's less than you spend at the bar.
Well, Sequoyah, did you want to get into an intro of yourself? Sorry about that. Yeah,
There we go. That's better.
It's a little loose.
yes.
Little loosey-goosey. I'm Sequoyah. I've been dancing since I was 4 years old. I am an instructor at Body High Pole Dance. If you want to come take a class with me, I'm going to be doing, for September, I'm doing 2 Thursdays at 7 for Sexy Flexi. If you're working on your flexibility. But my jam is really flow, and because I have the dance background, there's so many different styles of pole dancing, but I'm a pole dancer. So, I mean, I'm always available for private lessons, guys, but I'll be doing a pop-up for a flirty, flowy class. But yeah, dance has always been my biggest passion, and you know, adulthood happened and capitalism gets you, and I stopped all of my hobbies. And it wasn't until COVID, where everything shut down, that I was like, I mean, the only way I was getting through quarantine, honestly, was dancing. I would blast music and turn off all the lights and put on like LEDs, and I would just dance for hours. Like, and I was like, okay, as soon as things open up again, like, because I had been waiting, always waiting for my friends to come and do things with me. So I'm like, yeah, I want to take a pole class. Who wants to take a pole class with me? And everyone is always like, yeah, and then they don't. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck that, you know, like, I'm just gonna do it myself. And immediately got hooked. And I like being back in a dance studio, like, it was for the first time as an adult. The last time was as a teenager. So it was like the wood floors and the mirrors and the smell of it. And I'm just like, wow, I'm home. Oh my God. And at the time, so my pole mom and studio manager, Angela, also just shout out Body High in general. You don't even have to take a class with me, but just go to Body High, guys. Come on. It's so liberating and amazing. And the instructors are incredible. The studio manager, the owners, amazing people.
Jennifer, right?
No.
Oh,
cut that out. No, it is Natalie and Naomi. And they bought the studio, the two of them, in cash. And yeah, woman owned, women of color owned.
There we go.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I was like, say something?
Oh, no. It sounds like you were super stoked when Arcane started running parties then.
Well, so it was before it, I went to the very first video shoot. Or no quotes. Hold on. Cut that out. It was absolutely a very legitimate video shoot. And so yeah, as just a person, because it, like, yeah, getting through quarantine, all I kept saying to everyone, all of my friends, was like, I just want to dance. I just want to dance. I just want to feel the bass in my bones. And so when it was like, yeah, first or second week of March in 2021, and my friend sends me this link to this video shoot, and I'm like, what the fuck? A video shoot on the beach? What's happening? And then I'm like looking at the set. I'm like, wait, there's DJs. Wait, there's music. Wait, this is an event. And I'm like, we have to go. And so yeah, like from the very first one. And then it didn't take long. It was probably the very next show that I was like, I want to get involved. And I started talking to Joe right away.
Shout out to beach parties.
Oh my God, that would be, yeah.
Those were
Mystic
great.
Sense.
They were so great.
But I was still taking pole classes religiously, like at least twice a week. And my studio manager, my pole mom, was like, oh, actually, yeah, the co-captain of the Vagabonds is a previous instructor here, Nikki. Oh, I'll talk to her. Like, oh, I think you would be great. You should totally do it. And then Joe announced auditions. So I'm like an OG from the second generation, because the Vagabond dancers actually came from the ATL pre-COVID. So
yeah, my first show with Joey was Govinda at ATL. Like 2018 or something like that, like a long time ago. And he asked me to join the team at that point, but I was living in Burnt Ranch at the time, and I just couldn't like commit to it or anything. But yeah. I know, crazy how things work out like that. Yeah, so there was, it was during this big transitional, we're coming back, we're doing events again. And then Arcane Artists went fully, like, had all the permits and registered as a nonprofit and got the liquor license and everything. And so it was like, oh, so this is a real thing. So yeah, he holds auditions, and it was like on a Thursday. And it was like, okay, well, yeah, you're on the team, and our next show is Saturday. So see you then. And none of those girls who had auditioned with me are still on the team now. It's a completely different. So we're in probably like the third generation now. If I'm in like the second
generation.
I love how like it kind of became, I feel like at first Joey would do that like almost like as an impromptu thing, but now it's like his ritual with new dancers. Yeah. Just like throw them into the fire.
Yes.
Like I remember like last summer when I auditioned, because I heard the call for dancers. I had just moved from Burt Ranch to the coast. And I was like, man, I would really love to get involved. I saw the call for auditions, but I was like still working in Burt Ranch and like having a commute and stuff. And I couldn't like make the audition. And so I like messaged them on Instagram. I was like, hey, like I can't make auditions, but can I send you like a video or something, you know? And like maybe like meet up another time, like, you know, schedule another time to meet up with you guys. So we were like making arrangements and stuff like that. And then I just like happened to be at the jam one afternoon because my friend was doing like an acoustic guitar set, you know what I mean? And so like me and a couple of our friends showed up to like show support and everything. And Joey was there like setting up for the show that night. And so I like went up to, I was like, oh, I was actually talking to you on Instagram, but like, let me just go talk to you right now. So I like went up to him and I was like, hey, I just like wanted to touch base and see if like, you know, what's up with auditions and everything like that. He was like, oh, I mean, like we have a show tonight. You want to like come and like, you know, do the thing or whatever. Yeah. Like, yeah, just like make tonight's show your audition or whatever.
I guarantee you, because there was probably a bunch of dropouts and he was probably scrambling.
I don't even know, like, I don't know what it was, but yeah, I mean, like, I showed up, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, media was just like, you're killing it, you're on the team. Like, I like did my first set, you know what I mean? Like, of the whole night, you know, and then like got off stage, he was like, you're on the team. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, you're a shoo-in. Yeah, no, we did an official audition at Redwood Rocks. And then went to the pub after.
Some Burberries.
To celebrate. Yes. A little did I know.
After party.
Little did I know. Yeah, and then I kind of like took ownership of the team for like a brief you know, a couple months. There was like a kind of a heavy transitional period, and I actually brought Bella onto the team, and so then it turned into it, like we became, at first it was just kind of like a collective of individuals who enjoy dancing but sometimes don't really show up, or you know, take a lot of liberties, how we were talking about earlier, take a lot of liberties with what responsibilities are
earlier
prioritized.
as in before the podcast started. Just
Yeah.
So, yeah, you didn't miss anything. The previous point made.
But then we all like got like really, really close, and like and then I start advocating for everyone, and then you know, we start getting tips, and it changed, and then we started coordinating our outfits, because that started with me just like getting everyone together and then going over to someone's house and just like throw everything that fits the theme on the floor. Let's mix and match. Let's all like, what do you have, like, and then wow, we're all cohesive. And then the response to that was like, oh my god, you guys look so great. And then Joe was like, oh, well, I'm going to go on Amazon, and now everyone's matching.
I mean, it always looks good when everybody matches and is on the same level and like is in sync, like moving or just vibing or just, you know, just
I think it also like lends a certain like legitimacy to the thing too, because like there's something to be said for looking like a, you know, like a regular person.
Yeah, just a bunch of randoms.
You know what I mean? Because then it's kind of like, oh, like that person looks regular. Yeah, can I also get up on stage?
Yeah, I mean, I've had that happen like a few times in the beginning where people, because I'm just wearing regular people clothes, and I'm like, I don't got outfits like that, and I ain't got no money right now to be buying no outfits like that. And then, you know, I had like people come like up to me like, can I get up there? I'm like, no, I'm working. I can't. I look like you guys, but I'm supposed to be up there.
Like, definitely don't, like, it's not about killing fun or anything. It's just a liability.
It's like if you get hurt and like fall off the stage,
I know.
You get, you know.
Yeah, can we so DJs talk about don't ask for requests. As dancers, stop asking us to get on stage, please. We love you.
Or telling me that you could do my job better than I can. You know, like, totally have had someone say that to me before. I'm like,
or even
dance you. I'm like, cool,
or
dude,
even like you know, awesome. Like even with like being queer and dancing and being like, you know, dancing like sensually and stuff, and then some other males would be like, why are you doing that? And then some are like, that was awesome, like you're killing it up there. And it's always just like a mixture of those two things as a guy dancing and trying to do the I'm not trying to do it, but
You
the
do
feminine, you know, like this, the sensual movements and, or even twerking and stuff like that. And it's just like, the response is always like those two things. It's like, why are you like dancing so feminine, or like, you're killing it.
Well,
you know?
and I also like, I feel like there's something to say about, you know, there's like a big separation between like masculine and feminine roles in dance in a lot of different cultures. But I feel like that is not true of like African dance styles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know exactly what your background is, but I see a lot of like Afrobeats.
Oh
like
yeah, I did
jazz.
I did
you know,
Afrobeat.
like
I did
hip hop,
bomba.
like jazz.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all of that stuff. And so I think that there's like, you know, there's less of a separation between like the way that women dance and the way that men dance than there would be in like salsa or like some other type of like partner dancing or like I don't know, waltz or something like that. You know, there's like a lead and a follow position. There's like all these things. Whereas
but
like
all of that
in some cultures, like men and women are
too,
all just like
which is amazing. Like there's videos of just like in salsa dancing with like the leader like switching, which is kind of really insane, and I like just love seeing it, where like one person you can tell is leading and then they like switch off, and then you're like, oh shit, now they're leading, and this is like wonderful for my eyes right now. And like I feel like that's a lot of that is changing for like all styles too, which is it's great for me.
It's interesting too, like as a non-binary person too, like to be in that space and like sometimes feel like, you know, there's like certain music that brings out like such masculine energy in me, and like sometimes I feel a little like what's my position here, like what's my role right now? Is it to be like a sexy girl, or do
I want to like crump
like,
and like
dance how I want to dance, you know? And so it's like, you know, like one time my friend, like I had to like, so I live in Lolita, and you know, I don't have a car right now, so I like have to like mooch rides all the time. Not great, but you know, a lot of people are willing to help me, and that's fantastic. I love my generous friends. But one friend in particular was like driving me home to go get stuff for a show, because I was like in Arcata, you know, all my stuff for the gig is in Lolita, and then I have to like come back to Arcata for the gig and like blah blah blah, you know, all that stuff. So my friend drives me home to go get stuff, you know, and we're talking about, you know, like, like costumes and putting on makeup and all that stuff. And she was like, why do you do that? Like, why do you put on the makeup and like all the clothes and everything like that? And I was like, honestly, like, I feel like it's part of like getting into the character of the thing, you know what I mean? Because you have to be like super hella confident up there, you know what I mean? And so like, there's something about like putting on this like you know, this whole thing where you're like, I am fucking
it's a ritual,
cool, and I am confident, and I am sexy, and I am like, you know, I'm gonna own my time up there. And so and then I thought about it for like a second, and then I was just like, yeah, it's kind of like cisgender drag, you know what I mean? Like in a way, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, I'm just playing it up, you know what I mean? To the point where I'm like, I wouldn't like normally walk around like this, you know, even on my like most feminine days, like wouldn't just like walk around in like what I wear at a go-go gig, unless I'm at a festival. That's a whole different Rachel. That's a different, you know? But like, yeah, like, so it's just like, it's just kind of like playing up those qualities that like help me embody the things that I need to embody on stage in order to like, in order to accomplish like what I'm trying to accomplish and everything. So it's I feel like
absolutely
the costumes, like
it's like really armor. And it totally changes things. I mean, even within the dynamic of a group, if we're all matching and we feel like a unified, or even just coordinating at all, like we're all wearing black, you know, we can still have our own styles within it, but it's putting on a costume, like literally, like you put on your armor, you put on that mask, and you become like, Queen is not Sequoyah. Like they are two very different people. Like I do not walk around with like the 3-inch eyeliner ever unless I'm on stage. It's like Hannah Montana.
Speaking of, also, I wish I was like, I'm like really good at my one makeup look, you know what I mean? Like I'm the one, you know what I mean, that I know how to do, and I just do it, and that it always comes out good, and that's it. But like, I can't fuck around with like a lot of different makeup looks, and sometimes I'm like, oh, you guys are so, look at you, like, oh, that's cool. Like just doing the same thing that I would do at a wedding, at any performance, if I'm just putting on makeup to go out. Like this is what it looks like, you know? Like,
it's you.
Tried and true. I was a makeup artist in a past life, But I mean, I was 18, so
Past life.
past life.
Yeah.
So I have some more tools in my tool belt to draw from, but there's nothing wrong with having the tried and true. And you know that you can just bust it out, especially when you're rushing. And you just gotta.
I'm always rushing. I got time blindness, ADHD. Like I'm always rushing.
Feel that.
Yep. Like, that's kind of what makes it easier for me though, is because I don't wear makeup. I'm like, okay, I just put my shirt and my shorts and I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, and like, yeah, I feel like there's something to be said. Like I've definitely like, oh, I'm out of time, like whatever, you know, to like go out there without lipstick or like go out, whatever, you know, I've like done a lot of performances with no makeup on just because I'm like, whatever. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, just to kind of like bring it back to that point that I was talking about earlier when you were introducing yourself, like there's something to be said when you know that your skills are like up to snuff, you know what I mean? Then you're like, I don't need all of the bells and whistles, you know, I just need to go out there and do a good job. And I remember like the turning point when I, you know, like, because I like record like a lot of my practices, a lot of my private studio time, a lot of my performances. I like to go over it. I like to look at it. I like to like look at it, be proud of myself, and then start to look for things to improve, you know? And so, and sometimes I'm kind of like, I don't really know what kind of like how I did, you know, until I see it for myself, and like everybody else can be like, oh my god, you did so good. I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you, but like I'll decide that. You know what I mean? Like, I need to see like okay, right. You know, like thank you so much.
Yeah, because we're our own worst critics too. Yeah, so when it comes down to like us feeling like, damn, like I didn't kill it tonight or something like that, somebody else sees it and they're like, that was amazing.
And that's like such a powerful thing to remember too, is that like even when you're like, you know, you're still like making a difference. But I remember the turning point when I had recorded a performance, you know, that I felt like didn't go very well. It wasn't my best. I wasn't like feeling like in the pocket, you know, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh man, you know, and then I like watched the video. I'm like, that actually wasn't half bad. I'm like, okay, so like now I'm at the point in my dance journey where even when I'm doing bad, I'm doing well. You know what I mean? Like I've gotten to the point where I have like such a foundation of technique that like even on my bad days, like I'm doing all right, you know, and like to the point where other people can be like, wow, you did so good. I'm like, yeah, I can do better, but they're not wrong, you know what I mean? And so like I just know that for so much of my childhood, because like you were saying, Sequoyah, is like dance is like my biggest passion, and it has been for a really long time. Like I have a lot of other like creative outlets and everything like that. Like I sing, I like, you know, do all these, I did theater growing up for a really long time. That was like a huge like commitment throughout my childhood, and you know, all of these different things. But when it comes to like what like tugs my soul, like more than anything else, like, you know, like I write, I sing, I like do theater, I do all these things, but like if I like had to pick one, you know what I mean? Like I would pick dance, and I would always like, since I was a kid, I would have always picked dance. But I remember like growing up, like watching like other students, like, you know, like, I don't know, like I'm not as flexible as a lot of dancers. I'm not, you know, my strength isn't quite, you know, like there's a lot of room for improvement in my physical condition and like technique and stuff like that. And because I had such divided attention between all of these different things, I was in choir, I was in theater, I was in you know what I mean? All these different things. I couldn't like devote exactly the time to like my dance classes and stuff like that a lot of other people could, who were just like, this is my focus. And so they were making like really rapid improvements, and I'm kind of seeing myself like fall behind and feel really like not like up to snuff, you know what I mean? And then on top of that,
I'm so also competitive.
Like, and it's like
the traditional dance world, they will straight up in front of the whole class, you know, and
I mean, I was lucky to have like a really amazing teacher. Shout out to Marvin Ramey. I love you. I know you're not listening. Maybe you are. I don't know. But like, I freaking love you, dude. Marvin Ramey's dance experience. If you're in Bakersfield, go check him out. He's amazing. He is like, anyways, he's an amazing choreographer, amazing teacher, dancer. Like he's incredible. But like, so he was like the I will push you with love kind of guy, you know what I mean? And I really, really like respected and appreciated that. But like, it's
much more effective.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I mean, it was like so long because I was like, not really feeling at home in any of the dance styles that I was, you know, like, like I will practice ballet for the conditioning and the foundational like posturing and like things like that it can help me build, but I would never like commit myself to ballet. Like, it's just not my thing that way. You know what I mean? And so like in all of these different dance styles that I'm practicing, I'm kind of like not really like like I'm not really like finding that one spot that feels like home. And so I kind of just feel like, I don't know, you know, I'm just not good enough or like whatever. And then I found belly dance. I'm like, oh, this is my body's home. Like, this is where I can like, you know, thrive and everything like that. And I totally have. And like using that as a base through which to like expand to other things and bring things in and everything has like allowed me to start to take myself seriously as a dancer. Because up until then I was like, I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that. Like my whole childhood, I just never like, and then of course there's the whole like starving artist narrative. And you forget like as a kid, I didn't understand that there was like a vast middle ground between like rich and famous and starving artists. Like I didn't know that there's like that most working artists are somewhere in the middle of those things. You know, they're like making money, they're making a living. It's possible, you know. I just like figured like, oh, if I'm not like good enough to be a part of a dance company or like a, you know, something like that, then I'm just not going to make it as a professional. Like there's no avenue for me. And so I just like didn't really take, even as a child, like I didn't really take that potential pathway seriously as an option for me. And so it's been like this really like long-winded sort of like coming back to like now, you know, like, yeah, like I'm going to go to Germany next year and like study in this professional dance program. I'm like, my childhood dreams are coming true. Like, you know, and it's just like, I just never thought, you know? And so it's like that idea, you know, when you're like working against that like imposter syndrome, when you're working against the competition in the industry, when you're comparing yourself to other people all the time, you know, there's just like, it can be really disheartening. And then, you know, like everybody's telling you that it's not like a way to make money and like all this other stuff, you know? And so it's like, it can be so discouraging when you're like, but this is all I want to do. Like, this is all I ever wanted to do. And so it's like super cool.
I wanted to say, you know, because I myself, I feel like a jack of all trades when it comes to dancing. I'm not I am a professional dancer, but like I'm not, well, aside from like hip hop and choreography, those are like the ones that I'm like, yeah, I'm professional at that. But being able to do many different styles and keep up doing that with the little bit of time we've had like doing those things, not being able to commit fully, that's still something even regular professional dancers aren't good at. So like always remind yourself that too, that's like, yeah, maybe I'm not good at all these things, but like I can do all these things, you know, and I can keep up. Instead of being like, I'm a master at this or I'm a master
and
at
that's
this.
Like what's really cool now about like being in this space of like go-go dancing where now like, okay, like we just danced for Fuego the other night, you know, like we dance, like Arcane does a lot of house shows, you know, there's like a lot of bass music, there's like all these different things, you know what I mean, like hip hop and like nostalgia nights and like so there's like a wide array of like things that as like a professional go-go dancer you're gonna be like in a lot of different musical spaces and hearing a lot of different sounds and scenes and stuff
and
like that.
All of them are your jam.
And being able to like translate,
you can't show it.
You gotta wear that mask
and being able to like translate and pull enough, you know, from like, oh, I know this much about like Latin dance styles, you know what I mean? Or I know this much about hip hop, or I know this much about, and so I can like use that, you know, and utilize like those kinds of influences and still like be myself on stage and everything like that, but kind of like cater to the different like musical styles that you're like, you know, that you're presented with and everything. So in all that sense, all like, the different BPMs, having all of these, having all these like different influences and like, you know, training journeys and whatever, you know, it's like actually really helpful in this particular context, especially.
Yeah. When I had first started at Vagabonds, Isadora was basically like a mentor to me. And I remember her saying that this form of dancing, of improv go-go dancing for 10 minutes straight, because Joey does 10-minute sets. And then when we started Nostalgia Crew, we wanted to do more kind of vibe it out. But then that results in these guys being up there for 45 minutes. Because they're like, oh, but this song is good. I'm like, all of the songs are good. They're all good like, all night long.
It's dangerous when you start learning to pace yourself. You're like, oh man, I'm tired, but the song is really good. And it's really vibing. So I'm just going to like, you know, like flow it out like gently for a second until it picks back up and you kind of catch your breath and you're like, no, I'm good. I can stay up here for another 10.
And then you get off stage and you're just like.
Or like getting off stage being like, I'm tired. And then that song comes on. You're like. oh, it's calling me. I gotta get back
That's
up
them
there.
literally all night long.
Yeah, that's me all the time.
Weekend at Fuego. I'm sorry, I was just gonna say like last weekend at Fuego, it was so freaking hot. I was so sweaty, and then it also wasn't cold enough outside to really cool you off. So I was literally like doing sprints like behind the building, like trying to catch a breeze. Like,
yeah, cooling down with sprints.
I need to evaporate some of this. But anyways.
So doing improv go-go dancing for 10 minutes straight is the highest form of practice. You can sit in the studio and choreograph for hours and hours, but nothing compares to having to actively, like, through transitions, through DJ fuck ups, through, you know, the BPMs are going all over the place, like,
or even just like when a beat doesn't drop when you think it's going to or something, it's like and
you're like, oh, nobody saw that.
and in all different genres, and sometimes it doesn't mesh. Sometimes it's just not clicking. Like, you know, to be in the studio and to dance to your favorite song and you're like, yes, and I know what I'm doing and I'm rehearsing these steps over and over again, is totally different than being thrown completely out of your comfort zone and having an audience, having people rely on you and having to curate that vibe, and having, like, it's like, if I feel off, they feel off. So I need to be super in this right now. And like, how can I?
Because you're an artist, but you're also an entertainer. You know what I mean? And so you're thinking about that role in all of it as well. And like how, like, what energy or presence you're bringing to the whole.
And you guys are, you know, there's all kinds of events that happen out there, but you guys are literally doing vibes the entire time, you know, which is not easy. You know, I was talking earlier about, you know, staying synced with the music.
Yeah.
But then there's also, like you guys were talking about earlier, that exchange that happens between people on the stage and the people in the crowd and the audience. You know what I mean? And so you have to stay in tune with that. None of this is easy.
Yeah. We just make it look easy.
Or like when and I love all, you know, the music, the DJs and everything, but the times when you hear like a clip of your song and it's just like 10 seconds of it, and you're like, oh, my part's coming up, and then it turns into another song. You're like, oh, it's gone. Okay, let me figure out what I'm gonna do, and then trying not to show that, because that was the one thing I was taught when I started dancing. But the one thing I learned when I first started dancing was, you know, nobody knows what's gonna happen, and this is even for like theater, where it's like nobody knows what's supposed to happen on stage. So like when you mess up, like as long as you don't physically show that in your body language or your face,
even if you fall,
even if you fall,
the way
pose,
that you pick yourself
like
up,
or something like that, you know. And like those little tricks always help for when that happens, when like the DJ does a little, you know, we're gonna play this little clip of this song, then it's something completely different, and just like, and that was supposed to happen, and you know, you just kind of don't show that, and nobody ever really knows. Because I used to, you know, in theater, I used to be like, fuck, I fucked up. Did you guys see it? And they're like, no, you just kept going. So I couldn't tell if that was supposed to happen or not. And that's like the tricks of the trade is
with
like,
theater, it's like a different thing, because there's like a script and there's cues and there's like all these very specific things. There's like a recipe, you know what I mean, that you're trying to follow to like make the show happen the way that you've planned it to. But when it comes to these kinds of things, because it's unplanned and everything like that, so it still has that element of like, we don't know what's going to happen, of like live theater. But at the same time, because there's no plan, like there's also opportunity, as much as you want to, like, I like slipped on stage, like probably the worst I've ever slipped, because I forgot my regular dance shoes and I was dancing in my docs. Super slippery on the ATL stage. And I like slipped. But anyway, so besides that, I have also learned from like belly dance teachers and like people who have been in the entertainment industry for a long time, like not just like dancing, but like entertaining, you know what I mean? And understanding that like there's also like, if an audience like sees something go wrong and they do see and notice it, like it can be like, as an audience member, you're kind of like, oh no, like
they
you know what I mean, like
they
this
feel
thing,
for
and you
it,
kind of feel, and so like, and so at the same time as like, you know, just kind of like, oh, like I just breezed
Play
past
it
it
off,
and like
yeah.
play it off, like
Yeah.
is totally a tactic. It's also a tactic to lean way into the mistake and like and actually like entertain that moment with your audience.
Oh,
like,
yeah. And then they make
you saw
it
that,
makes
you know,
yeah.
we all saw that. We know what happened.
It
you know,
lets
like
people connect with you more too.
yeah,
like,
and
you
it,
know,
like,
oh
becomes,
shit,
like, a
like
more,
even
like,
a professional
authentic
can mess up.
experience,
And
you know, like I was
Yeah.
dancing at a cabaret recently, and I had finger cymbals on. And if you don't know what a finger cymbal is, it's like a tiny little cymbal, and it has like an elastic strap on the top, and you can pull it onto your finger, and you like pull one onto your middle finger and onto your thumb, and then you can clack them together and they ring, and it's like really fun little thing. And so I was like dancing with finger cymbals, and like I kind of like did this like position. I was like doing something with my, I was like doing some chest isolation. So I had my like hand framing like in my hair, and my hair got caught in my zill. And so I tried to pull it down, and it just tugged my hair, and I was like, oh, and then so I was just like, you know what I mean? And I like leaned into it, and I like didn't like pretend like it wasn't happening, because it was clearly happening, and in such an intimate setting, and something where there is no like recipe to follow, that kind of thing can actually be more fun, you know what I mean? And more playful, and more like real, more authentic, more genuine. Like, yeah, these things happen. We can acknowledge it, and then we can move on, you know what I mean? So
as
like,
long as we move
basically
on,
I just
then
like whoop,
that's
and then
all
I
that
kept
matters.
dancing, you know what I mean? And then I took them off, I put them down, and I kept dancing, so it wasn't like it had to be this whole thing. And I just remember like that being something that was like instilled by one of my dance teachers a few years ago, that really I feel like gave me a lot of freedom to feel like I could make mistakes on stage and it would be okay, and that I don't always have to pretend like it's not happening. While I mean, like, not to like say that that's not a very useful tactic, and something like really, really important for any performer to learn is like how to like pretend like
I did a show with my theater company, Project 2050. Hey. And we were performing at Alvin Ailey in New York for a 10-year like anniversary with our teachers, because they worked there, performed there. And it was my first time dancing on like a trampoline kind of floor, right? Like it like had a bounce to it, and it was
like a sprung. Like,
yeah, okay, and it was my first time, and we were doing stepping, like drill team, like boom, da-da-da, boom, da, and like all that kind of stuff. So
on a spring-loaded floor?
Yeah. My teacher, when he taught us to go hard, so we're going hard, and I was going so hard on this floor that was like having this effect on my body that I did not know.
Yeah.
And there was a move that we go, and we're supposed to put our hands out in front of us and kind of go down, catch ourselves, and then like stop like right here. My arms gave out on me in this performance in Alvin Ailey, and I like had my hair in curls, like it was like the wet curls, and all you see is me go. And I just stood there on the floor, and I'm just like, everybody saw that. Fuck. And then we get up, and I was like, and we're done. But everyone saw it, and like, it was
for the audio listeners, he essentially ricocheted off the floor a few times, did a couple
and
of
you just see
jiggles.
my
like a
hair,
basketball.
like my hair, because my forehead hit the floor, and it didn't hurt.
no.
It didn't hurt because it was like rubber.
Suspension.
But my arms, because of like all the things, like my arms were like exhausted, had to catch myself, and then the recoil of the floor was like do 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 do, and then like I couldn't catch myself, so you just see my hair shaking like this on the floor until it finally stopped. And then just like after the show, people came up to me, they were like, good for you, you kept going. Like you didn't stop, you didn't like show that it affected you in any way or anything like that. And I was just like,
people don't care if mistakes happen, they just want to see you like move past, like get up and keep going and move past it. Like the worst thing that you could do would be to make a mistake and stop and like run off stage or like whatever, you know what I mean? Like the very, very worst thing you could do.
Which I wanted to do, but I was like, no, this is a
like,
show. Like this is Alvin Ailey right now.
Well,
like,
it floods your whole, but during my very first burlesque performance at Northern Nights, the stage is rocks.
Yeah.
So like a couple large stones all together. So it's uneven. And I was in a chair and I leaned back with my full body weight and almost just ate shit and just for my very first ever performance. So I had to catch myself, and everyone, like, afterwards people were kind of like, I saw you fall. The guy I was dating at the time, he was like laughing. I'm like, yeah, but I kept, and the dancers are like, why? We didn't even notice. You caught yourself. You saved it. You went back. And that goes back to why dancers are so valuable, because not only are we investing all of our time and money into these dance classes, but then putting it into practice where you get the skill set to the point where you can recover after flopping around like a fish on the floor, and you pop right back, and people and it engages the audience more, almost right, like to be like, oh, they recovered that, wow, they are really good then.
I feel like there's something definitely like just just to be said on that note in terms of like the investment that it does take to be able to do this well. Like, there are some prodigies, you know what I mean? Like, not, like, there's a lot of like natural talent out there. There's a lot of like just like big energy, performance energy that's just there, you know what I mean? And if you got that, awesome, but like most people have to work really fucking hard, like really, really hard. And so like, like, I don't think I could even calculate how much time, energy, and money I've invested into like my dance like technique and like journey and everything like that. Like, I mean, like this year alone, spent like maybe, I don't know, like $1,500, $2,000, I don't know, something like that on like 2 programs, like
and rehearsal time, and sometimes like, renting out the space, and
absolutely.
Then there's
so
costumes.
It really does take a lot of like effort and investment and everything. And I'm thinking about like the investment that I've made since I was 7 years old when I started taking classes, and it was something that I did for the love of it because I wanted to. It's like, this is what I love and what I enjoy doing. This is what I'm going to invest my time and money in. At one point in my 20s, I was taking like 4 classes a week and spending like easily like $200 a month. Like my dance class bill was like $200 a month or something like that. And I remember like my partner at the time was like, what are you doing? Like, what? I'm like, I don't know. It's what I want to do. I can't tell you like, I don't know what else to say, but this is what I want to spend my money on. I'm like, I work really hard. Like, like this is what I want to do with my time. And so like when, like, and I am so not, like I don't love like gatekeeping things and like all that stuff and everything like that. But like, like every once in a while there will be a moment where like, like some dude comes up to me, when I'm like dancing at the Eagle House or whatever, and like, and he's just like, oh, my friend said that I could out dance you. Can I, can I get up there or like whatever? And I'm just like, fuck you, dude. I'm just like, I'm sorry.
You cannot.
Who are you? Like, I'm sure you can, you know what I mean? But like, why? Like, why are you saying that to me right now? Like, why are you like, it feels like very diminishing and like very like unacknowledging of like how much work I've put into it. It's not like I'm just up here like, like I like worked for like 25 years to like be where I am today. And
then we're being hired for like a little bit of money, little bit. I don't want to throw numbers out, but there's small numbers.
Somebody who like hires me for like a private lesson or something like that, And I'm like, okay, like, what do you want to go over? And they're like, we just want to know how to do what you do. I'm like, okay, like, so we got to start at the beginning. Like, here's some basics, here's some isolation techniques that you need to know. Here's like how to separate your shoulders from your elbows, your chest from your hips, your blah, 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 and then like all these things. And we talked about like creative stuff and like imagination things and like how that plays into dance, like creativity and like theatricality, musicality, like all that stuff, like paying attention. Like we went over a lot of stuff, and a lot of it was very basic because there were new dancers and everything. And so like towards the end of the lesson, they hired me for like maybe an hour, maybe 2 or something like that, Towards the end of the lesson, I kind of like gone over everything I could think of to go over without having them like really give me any ideas as far as like what they wanted to learn. And then they were like, I was like, so is there like anything else in particular that you wanted me to cover today? And she was just like, like, can you teach us like how to do like how to like move, like how to move like you. And I was like, I mean, not in an hour. You know what I mean? Like, we did that actually. Like I started to do that with this,
that's
like
that's the basics of how
technique.
it works.
Like that's how you start to learn. And I was like, no, I can't like teach you how to move like I do. Like there's a whole lot that's gone into this throughout the entirety of my whole life. You know, it's like there's no way to like, you know, like squish it into like an hour lesson, you know. So it's just like really, you know, it's like I don't know if people really understands like how much goes into this,
on,
you know.
On that note, like I want to piggyback on to like people saying they can like do what we do,
right?
And it's like, okay, you might be able to do that for a good 5 minutes, but can, like, you know, you're not thinking about the stamina that it takes to stay up there and do consistently, you know, a bunch of moves. Like, yeah, you might be able to like kill me in an 8 count but that's it. Like, cause I can keep dancing all night.
And to music that maybe I don't really like.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes,
like,
you know, it's like something you're not really into and you're like, I'm still up here doing my job, you know what I mean? And anybody else would be like, oh, it's time for me to go get a drink or take a break or go to the bathroom or whatever, you know.
And are they delivering the lines and the technique and the presence? I mean, the reason why they think it's so easy is because truly talented people, professionals,
make it look easy.
They make it look easy.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
And there's something, you know, like a lot of people are really good dancers, you know, a lot of people who like wouldn't ever like consider like a professional dance career are like really good. Like on Friday, I was like dancing and like connecting with someone on the floor and he was just like loving it, you know. So I was like, all right, like I stayed in that connection for a little while and he was like dancing back at me. I'm like, damn, you got some moves. Like, all right, you know, what's up, you know? But it's like, yeah, like you're saying, you know,
it doesn't
it's
always
like,
translate.
It doesn't always translate. It's not, you know, like a lot of people are like, oh, I love to like dance, but I can never do it in front of people or like whatever, you know. And so there's like
that happens a lot.
A lot of people are really good dancers, you know what I mean? I like don't want to take that away from anyone or anything, but it is like it takes like certain somethings, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then and there's like you know, when it's different too, like being like in a club scene or being off stage and having a lot of drinks and having that confidence from that to be able to be like, oh yeah, I can do this, but like, you know, you have to start sober like while you're doing that kind of stuff.
And we are on stage in front of like, many eyeballs and there's wires everywhere and there's expensive equipment behind us.
Yeah. So, and like, it's just, you know, I encourage those people who think they can do what we do to come and audition and dance with us and teach if you can. Right? If, you know, if you have something to offer, then please share it. Yeah. But, it's like.
Not while you're drunk during the event.
Right. Because that doesn't like. Yeah, I know, you know, I have many friends who are great dancers but don't want to be on stage, but they will dance for hours in the club and they'll kill it. But they don't want to be up there. But like, it's just, you know.
Yeah, it takes like a certain personality, a certain like level of desire and engagement and everything. And like, and also like, I also just want to like note that there's a lot of avenues, you know, to like become a better dancer and everything like that. Like I went the studio class route, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm like taking classes, you know, like now we have like so many resources. There's freaking YouTube, there's like TikTok, there's Instagram, there's like all kinds of things. And so really like, you know, I've had like a lot of people come up to me like, how can I get up there? How can I be a better dancer? How can I improve my technique? I'm like, practice, practice, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be like you going and spending a bunch of money on classes for years and years like I did. Like get on YouTube and like learn a thing, you know, like pick a choreography and just like study that choreography until you know it. And then like, and then perform it for your friends or whatever, you know, like videotape yourself doing it when you got it, you know? And like, it's not about like how you get there or how much money you spend on the way or who you learn from or anything like that. It's your level of commitment. Like, are you committed to getting better? Then, you know, and then like finding the avenues that are accessible to you. And there are so many free resources now. It's like insane. And then on top of that, there's like 1,000,001 like amazing freaking dance teachers like in the world in any given genre that you want to like be, you know, be a part of and everything. So like, yeah, like totally like, yeah, I just want to encourage like everybody, like if you're interested in dancing or like you want to get to be a better dancer, like maybe you want to be a go-go dancer one day or like whatever, just commit to practicing and commit to like,
just take that first step. I always tell my students that showing up is the hardest part. And everyone's journey looks different and it's never too late. You don't need to get stronger. You don't need to get thinner. You don't need to, you know, be more flexible.
Like the strength will happen along the way.
Yeah. You don't need to reach a certain point. Like I feel like
don't wait.
People we can so easily, I do it to myself. You fall into a trap where you think I can't do this until I do this, and this. And but really just take that first step. And maybe the class is really uncomfortable. Maybe you stumble. Maybe you can't.
But that's all okay.
But that is totally like, that's part of it. Like,
everybody starts somewhere.
I encourage to have more of a childlike mind of curiosity. Like, what is my body capable of? What happens if I do this? Versus I need to hit the pose. I need to do, because it's very discouraging for a beginner. I call myself a professional beginner because I'm always learning. I'm a student constantly.
Yeah.
And
like the only people who are like good at something right away are the people that we would call like prodigies or geniuses or something like that. Like everybody sucks at something at first, you know what I mean? Everybody.
Yeah,
like,
it feels weird and funky and your body's like, what are we doing? You know? Yeah.
It's interesting with art because there's always going to be different levels, different talent levels that are just, people have their innate talent. Like you're talking about, prodigies have that. They have more than an average person. They don't have to take time to build it. It's kind of in them, right? Yeah. And then you've got the long list of people who actually have to take the time to actually build up their skills. And so, I feel like when somebody's on stage performing, somebody that's going to be at that show, they're there for a reason. They typically want to see those people. So you're going to hold those people in a high regard. Yeah. So you see it as like a superpower. So like what you guys were talking about earlier, when you mess up, but you keep going, it adds that human aspect. Yeah. It's like, no, they're a human just like me. Yeah. And when you guys just push past it and keep going, that not only is, they're definitely human, but then I could do the same thing because they just moved past it. Like you guys are showing them that that's the way to do it rather than just give up.
And to add to that too, like I, like on my social media accounts and stuff like that, like I post way more like practice and like casual home videos than performance videos, like way more. Yeah. Because I feel like, there's something really intimidating and possibly like exclusionary about only seeing the end product of something. Yeah. It's like when you see like, okay, like this is when my thing is like performance ready. Now you're seeing it like, wow, that's perfect. You know what I mean? And then you feel like I could never do that, but you don't see like everything that it took to get to that point. And you don't understand that like, no, it's just a matter of work. Like you just have to work at it and you could do it. I can do it. You can do it. They can do it. We all can do it. You know what I mean? And so we just have to like work to get there. And so I actually like really kind of make it a point to like put a lot of like practice videos, home videos. This is just me wiggling in a studio. This is just me awkwardly learning how to incorporate floor work. This is me unsuccessfully executing a backbend. You know what I mean? Like this is, like I'm stumbling right now. I'm sharing, I'm like working it out. This is not a finished piece. You know what I mean? But just like showing people the practice, you know what I mean? I think it's like, I mean, I think it can be powerful, and I don't really do it like to make that difference or like to influence anybody. It's just kind of like, I feel like sharing this thing or whatever,
I think it's important though, like just to see those moments of like, it, like you said, like the end piece when they see it all put together and stuff, and then just like that whole period of like getting up to that point is really important, because a lot of people for their first time dancing that I've experienced when I'm teaching is like the being uncomfortable in your own body, in your own skin, and doing these movements you've never done before and feeling awkward. Like you have to go through all that to get to that point. And even for us professional and like people who've been dancing, I still go through it, with moves that I'm like,
Yeah, me and Rachel took a dance class together, and we kept being like, "Wow, is this my first time dancing?"
Yeah, and it's totally okay to go through that process. It's an important process, I think,
it is.
to get to where you want to be if you want to keep doing it.
If you're passionate about it, yeah. It's not always about the end product,
Yeah.
It's just the passion and how it feels
and the growth.
Yeah, I mean, like, even you don't have to get to the point where you are performing on a stage for however many thousands of people. It doesn't need to be this big production. It could literally just be the first, like, I just keep thinking pole in terms of pole, like climbing. So it's literally just putting your legs up around the pole, and it's hard. So you don't have to be upside down doing all these crazy flips. You can feel a sense of pride and accomplishment in the fact that you're holding your body weight up by your ankles and knees, And like, there's so much value in that, and that's not to be dismissed or admonished.
If I look at a video of me dancing last year, like that, you know, when I was talking about going up on stage at Northern Nights last year for that set at the Growth stage with Balk and Bump, I remember like feeling like, in that moment, I was like, wow, this is like the most magical moment I've ever experienced in my life. This is the coolest thing I've ever done. Holy shit. Like, wow, it was like the biggest crowd I've ever danced for. Just like the coolest moment I had ever experienced up to that point. And then also like after I got the video back, I was like, wow, like I think that might have been like my best dance performance today. You know what I mean? Like, and I just remember being like super proud of myself for a really long time. And like almost like seeing like little things that in hindsight, I'm like seeing them click into my head in that moment, you know? And now I'm like, wow, I'm like well practiced in that at this point. And so I look back at that video from like 1 year ago, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I am so much better now. You know? It's like, so it's like funny because I just remember like having like holding that in such pride, holding that moment and that performance in such pride and everything. And now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I could do better. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, you know, you're never not growing. You know what I mean? You're never not growing. And like, and there's also like definitely, I think, you know, a lot to be said for what you're talking about, how we're like taking that heels class and everything like that. And I don't, belly dancers dance barefoot. Like I don't like, I would ever dance with shoes on. And so, yeah, when it comes to heels, I'm like, so, and then similarly, like if I were going to go take a partner class right now, just catch me stumbling.
That's
you know
like that's like a whole nother level of dancing too.
It's a whole different thing. You know, it's a whole different thing. And so like anytime I like venture out into a new movement modality or something like that, I'm like, wow, I'm a beginner all over again. And so it's like there's never a shortage of opportunities to challenge yourself and to like expand your capacities, to expand like your movement vocabulary, and to like feel like a beginner. Like that's such a profoundly like important, humbling experience is to like walk into a space and feel like you're an utter beginner, especially if you felt like, you know, like, oh, I'm like, you know, like, yeah, you're getting like more intermediate, advanced, whatever, professional, like in your style and everything. And then you go to another style and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And you really like, it really puts things into perspective that there's just like a lot of different skills out there, you know what I mean? And there's no like, this person's better dancer than that person. It's like, no, they just have different skills, you know? And so like, yeah, I think that's like really important to think about too, is that, you know, like even a professional dancer, if you put them in a different kind of dance class, they're going to stumble around like every other beginner, you know? And so like keeping that in mind too, like, especially if you're like thinking about coming into dance, is that, you know, there's no shame in like stumbling around for a while. And that's like what kind of everybody has to do.
Yeah.
And don't go up to the stage and harass the dancers on stage. Be humble, for real though. Because
it's not easy.
Stamina.
It's not an easy thing, but like anybody can do if you put your mind to it. Like,
I mean, if you're like genuinely interested, you can absolutely approach us after we get off stage, not while we're on stage working. Like after we get off stage, hey, I'm interested. How do I get involved? We'll tell you gladly.
Like, the more the merrier.
Absolutely.
A lot of the time, I'm sure that's just drunk people too, though.
Yes.
They might actually be able to dance a little bit.
But
no.
They think they're because when you got the drunkenness, you're just like, I'm killing it, and then you look at the footage. Speaking of footage, you look at your friend's Instagram story the next day, and you're like, oh, I was not doing anything. So Rachel brought up how. Going back and reviewing the video footage of Dancing with Balk and Bump, how important that was and how it was like it's like a learning, it's like a little fulcrum for learning and then looking back and reviewing your progress. But can we talk about how difficult it is to get footage? Why? Okay, videographers, come on. The DJs, they're doing the same thing all night long. Like, can we? And then if they are filming us, we never see it.
Yeah.
What is it doing on your hard drive? What good is it doing to you? Well, and I think like what happens a lot is like, okay, so like somebody in the audience, like I can't even like count how many times I've like seen somebody's
Yes.
phone filming me, and then I never see what they filmed.
I have
you know what
so
I mean?
many
And,
shows where I just have no evidence that it honestly even happened. I've thought about just getting a cards made with my QR code for my Instagram, so that when I see people filming me, here, just tag me. Just
Yeah,
tag
exactly.
me.
Because
I
they
just
don't
wanna
know.
see.
It's like, it's this whole thing right now,
Yeah.
especially like as a go-go dancer. Like, I appreciate when like DJ Divinity and like
Yes.
other people would be like,
Yes, absolutely.
give it up for Rachel. You know what I mean? And they like do it like while I'm on stage, so people can kind of like attach some identity to this body that's moving, you know? Because
Right.
otherwise I'm just like this like nameless, you know, like body
Yeah.
on stage, you know what I mean? And so like, unless I like, you know, unless somebody comes up to me afterwards and introduces themselves or like whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then like most of the time they're never going to know who I am. They don't know how to get a hold of me. They don't have my contact information. They don't have my
Totally.
social media information. They don't know my
Totally.
handle. They don't know how to tag me. Like, they can't do any of that. So even if they were to tag me, or I mean, if they were to post it, like I would never see it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but and that's not to say that it's the crowd's responsibility to
Yeah.
get
No.
us our footage,
Yeah.
but
No.
in terms of paid media people, there are so many where I will straight up, like if I'm doing my Silk fans, I'll straight up put it right in the camera. I'm like playing it up, and they're getting all this good footage of me. They're getting all the angles. They're getting my ass shaking and, you know, every jiggle. But then that's it. That's it. And I never see it. I'm never like I go out of my way to be like, oh, what's your Instagram? Like, I'm gonna. I've DM'd people. There was one show that I did at Ace of Spades in Sacramento. He asked me for $200
For your video,
and I was like, well, yeah,
you?
yeah. And I was like, how many minutes is it? Like, how many gigs are we talking about here? Because like $200, you must have been filming me the whole time then, right?
And it better be pro.
And it's edited, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
there's
like,
so
or you just get ghosted.
What are you doing with it then?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
If I'm having to pay for the footage that you took of me,
Yeah,
you know
my
what I
body.
mean? And then like what are you doing with it if I don't? You know?
Yeah.
Like, are you monetizing it? Because if so,
Right.
then you should like
Right.
at least skip to me for free. You know?
Right.
Or you know, these
there's-
shows, these events, they're using our bodies to promote their shows, but they're not tagging us. They're not even giving the footage.
There's
So,
many times where
we
the
can't
only
have it,
footage
yeah.
I see of me dancing is from my friends
Yes.
that have come to the shows that are like, oh, you were killing it. This is
Yeah.
the video. But I don't
And they're
tend to
drunk
see.
and they're like,
Yeah, and I just don't
It's
tend
like-
to see me in a lot of videos, even for promotionally. Like, and I'm like, what? I mean, I was dancing too.
Yeah.
But like,
and, like-
the most of the ones that I get are
Well,
just from like my
if
friends
the
in the crowd.
videographer is like a little bit misogynistic
Yeah.
and just wants to film asses,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
they're just gonna completely
and
ignore you.
our co-dancers, like, we do our best, like, as co-dancers, we do our
Yes.
best to like get footage of each other and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But sometimes it's
also
really
like
hard.
it is
Yeah.
really hard, you know, where you're like, oh, like I just came out to the floor, my phone's upstairs.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Or like you're not
And-
in the best position to get like a good angle because there's so many
Yeah.
people there and like
Or,
trying
like-
to cut through and be like, I just need to record.
sometimes
my-"
there's
Yeah.
like ideal moments for things, you know what I mean? There's like moments
Yes.
where like, you know, like, okay, say I come out and do my first set and I have like all the energy of the beginning of the evening and I'm like,
Totally.
boo, 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 ba, 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 you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you
then,
whip out that one move that you're like,
sets
I
later-
really hope someone's filming
Yeah,
me.
like
and I
two
just
sets
killed that.
later, I'm like, I'm a little tired. I'm gonna like, take a
Yeah.
easy, and
And that's when they're filming.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, where were we like 2 sets ago?
I have
Or,
so
like,
many videos of me
dude,
going, whoo!
I have
Yeah.
so many videos of me shimmying. It's just shimmies. You know what I mean? I'm like, I know what it looks like when I shimmy. I want to see the other thing. Like, I
Yeah,
appreciate
or like towards
that you
the end
caught
of the night
ass
for
shaking,
me,
but,
when I
like,
just
you know.
turn around and I'm just swaying because I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you turn around, you're like, hey, I'm back.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
So
Wipe,
like,
wipe the
randomly-
sweat, do the whoo,
Yeah.
and then right back around. Yeah, I literally have videos of me doing. I'm like, thank you so much. It wasn't when I was doing the splits.
It was when I was tired.
Yeah, it's when I'm going like this with my fans because I'm like trying to chill for a second. I'm like, this is not impressive. Like, I was doing way cooler stuff. Like,
Just like the art, there's all levels. People, you know, taking videos, thinking they may be a videographer and they're not, and there's not enough videographers.
Or when they're
around
like
here
this.
just-
no,
there aren't. There
No,
really
there's
not even
aren't.
looking at it, and they're just like
Exact-
recording
right.
everybody over this way. And it's like,
and screaming and it's blurry and you're like, cool. Well, because you know, from also like a a booking standpoint, we need to have EPKs just like other artists. So for me, my biggest show ever of 5,000 people, I have no footage of it. I got like I have like a cell phone clip. So I'm like, all right, I'll throw the cell phone clip in my EPK, I guess. But like,
but you're right though. Like, it is actually surprisingly hard to come by videographers
it
around
is
here. Like,
it is.
There's like
we need more dance,
specifically
dance photographers, and videographers.
But like, yeah, like there's not a lot of videographers out here. And
but it would be amazing. I mean, I've thought about it because like I know my way around a camera, and to have a specific for dance, to have someone who has the eye, who knows what shapes and poses are actually desirable and what is us just
and knows music well enough to know when we're probably gonna hit them.
So that versus us just being tired. And doing just a very basic move. Like, so having someone who knows, like, it would be amazing to have a videographer who actually understands, like, what moments are for us in our heads. We're like, I really hope someone is filming that. So if we had a professional video that knows, and they're kind of like intuitively, they're like, and then we're like, yes, like we'd be posting that shit everywhere. We'd put it in our EPKs. We can make make little reels out of it. And
on that note too, though, like, I just want to like testify to like, just my experience in general of like, like having been a performer for 25 years, like, starting it was at like 98 or something. So I mean, like, cell phones and like the readily available cameras and video cameras that are good quality and like all that stuff have not been around for like most of my performance career. And so like I have done like countless performances throughout my life. Most of them have gone undocumented, you know what I mean? Like 99% of them probably have gone like completely unrecorded, unarchived, undocumented. The performance evaporated into the ether where it belongs, you know what I mean? It's like this moment that's like meant to be experienced in that moment with the people who are part of that moment, and like here we are, you know what I mean? And you guys got to see it, and now it's gone, and it's like that's part of like this beautiful, ethereal, like precious nature of dance and performance in general and everything. And so there's like definitely, I mean, I feel like that kind of like that focus is important to hold on to. I think that like having footage is amazing and like an incredible bonus and can be incredibly helpful for like career building and like all of that stuff. But I think like when it comes to like the point of like, why are you dancing,
right, that, it's like, not for the photo
it's not about exactly, but it's like about that moment. That being said, when you're like, damn, I killed it, I hope somebody got that. You know what I mean? Like, that is real. Like, that is real for sure.
Yeah, but it's like, if every single set, you're like, can you film me? I'm going to set up my camera.
Or if you're like, upset, like, oh, nobody got that. It's like, well, it just wasn't meant to be, Right. And so, I mean, I'm grateful for, like, the footage and photos and stuff that I get.
Yeah.
Just I'm very... Like, so, like...
I have... Yeah, so we have some amazing... Yeah, so... some amazing pieces of content.
That being said, like a lot of content, like, a lot of videos and footage and photos and stuff like that I get, like, okay, somebody did take a video or they did take a photo, but it sucks. So there's that too, like, where you were saying earlier about like we need like more videographers and people who are like have the eye and have like the knowledge of like musical prediction, being able to like understand like poses and lines and things like that, angles and stuff like that is like so helpful, so that when we do get photos, they're like really good and totally usable.
And it's not us like
oh my god. Do you see that one for me and Chris and Ashley at Northern Nights? Oh god, I gotta show you later. This is ridiculous. Like, I have so many from the competition that I went to in Salem this year. I got like a whole series of like just comically ridiculous photos of me making like a variety of faces that are something like this. Like, because I'm like, ooh, what's the bunny doing? I don't know. And it's just like so funny. And then I got one that's just like my eyes are like, so it's just like really funny to Yeah, it's like,
or you're out of breath,
like thinking about like I'm
along.
like looking at the photos and everything like that. I'm like, did the photographer look at these photos before he sent them to me? Because like, yo, you know, like you have to know that that's not a good photo. You know, like what's going on? Like, okay.
No, I have so many pictures of me singing along to like for like the hip hop shows and stuff, and like or doing stank face, and I'm like, why do I look like that? But if it was a video, it would make sense. You'd be like, oh, okay, because we're performing in the moment. We're not performing.
Right.
We're
and
not
your
posing
facial
for the
expressions
photos.
are part of that and everything. You can't always have a perfect like.
I know, yeah, because it's not a photo shoot. We're performing.
It's in the moment.
Entertaining. We're like, that's my fucking song. And then Dakota's like.
Well, if you guys were to give some advice to people around, that's one of the questions I always ask to people on the pod, you guys kind of talked about it, like people, coming and finding, what's happening and whatnot and getting involved. If you guys were to give some advice to young up and coming dancers in Humboldt County, what would you tell them?
I would just say like, don't, like if you want it, fucking do it. You know what I mean? Like go for it. Like don't let anybody tell you differently. Don't let anybody discourage you from like working on it. You know what I mean? Like you might suck for a while and like push through that. You know what I mean? And it's okay. It's okay to suck. And it's also like okay to do something that you want to do, even if you're not very good at it, even if you never plan to get better at it. Like just do what you want to do. Like enjoy your life. You know what I mean? And if you do want to get better at something, you can. Like you just have to commit to it and everything. And like there's going to be a lot of people, like there's a lot of insecurity and scarcity in the world and everything like that. And people are going to react, in certain ways to like seeing you like pursue this thing, that feels like, it feels like something of a like, oh, like how dare you get to follow your dream and I don't kind of thing, you know what I mean? And so it's like, just like, don't feed into that. Like, don't give those kinds of things weight. You know what I mean? Like those kinds of comments are coming from a place of fear and scarcity and insecurity in the other person. And it's a scarcity that we're all exposed to. Like, I know, you know what I'm talking about, but like, there is abundance in the world. And if you really want something, just go for it. I would say
use that fear, use the anxiety, use the people who are trying to say you can't do it and prove them wrong. Like it's all part of it. And usually, when you don't, if you don't have any haters, then you're not doing it right. Like just let those comments come in, use it to prove them wrong. Like just practice, do you.
Well, do I have any haters?
We have haters, trust me. We all have haters.
Rachel, we hate you.
But like, I mean, not in like I hate you kind of way, but just like, being like, damn, I could do that, but they're not doing it, and then they try to bring
Evil
you
eye.
down. Just don't let none of that stop you. Use that and help it. Use it to push you forward, because
and some people,
it's fuel.
People are always going to make excuses not to do the thing that they wish they could be doing. Like I was talking to someone recently. I was like, I just released my first book of poetry, and he's like, oh, like, man, I've always kind of like wanted to like publish a book. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, like, do you have like a manuscript ready? Like, I could totally help you with that. I know publishers, like, blah blah blah. He's like, oh no, it's just like something I've always wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. I was like, why would you like bring your jealousy into the situation of me, like, announcing that I have this thing going on? I was like, you're not even ready for it. I was like, I literally was like ready to help you. Like, if you have a book, like, let's do it. And he's like, oh no. I'm like, because all right, then shut up.
At some point, they shut themselves down and said that it wasn't a reality. It wasn't possible.
And like everything that you. Like I, as a child growing up, all I ever wanted to be was a professional dancer, and I thought it was absolutely impossible. It's so possible.
Oh yeah,
it's so possible.
I remember. I have such a core memory of being in 6th grade health class, and that's right when you go into middle school, right, and you're going through puberty, and you're leaving childhood, and I thought nothing of it. It's, this little like, oh, welcome to the classroom. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I, in full confidence, said, oh, I'm going to be an actress, a singer, and a dancer, and then I'm going to write a book about it all. And the entire class erupted into laughter. And it was the first time I ever questioned. I was like, wait, why? And then everyone else is saying, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to play lacrosse. I'm going to, And I was like, oh, so I'm supposed to go to college, and I guess I'll be an English teacher because I wanted to write a book. And but I am a rebellious spirit, so I never went to college. But sometimes I
also never. Yeah, I'm still partway through my associate's degree. 31.
No comment.
Right.
There's lots of avenues.
Even adults who mean well, like your mom and dad, and they think that they know what's best for you, and they want to tell you to go to business school and be a good little egg. Even if they mean well, that is not up to them. They do not know what is best for you. They do not have the authority or the right, to shut down your dreams, even if it sounds absurd, even if you want to go be a fucking clown who
they wouldn't have that argument against you, like, oh, like that's not a real job, or you can't make money. If society actually valued artists to the same level that art
doctors
provides
and lawyers
for society, like what art provides for society is so undervalued by society. It's like absolutely flabbergasting, like the disparity in that. And if our society in general and people in general were to value artists more, like monetarily, not just like, oh my God, I love you, you gave me life.
Money speaks.
Can you tip me then? Not that I don't love and appreciate your comment and the feedback and the enthusiasm, absolutely. But like, I'm broke as shit. You know what I mean? Like,
and we're in a capitalist society. So
if you want me to like be able to keep doing it, like you were talking about earlier, like having the luxury of being able to go and devote 6 hours a day to yourself in the studio and everything like that comes with dancers like having that freedom, because they don't have to go and work another job, because they don't have to like go and do something else. And so then, all the parents who are like, that's not a real job, you can't make money doing that. Well, we could, we could if society would value us.
I mean, this is a little, it's off topic with dancing, but it's still performing in a way where, I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a movie about like people who swim with like the mermaid tails, right?
Yes.
And that's the same thing they talked about. They're like, I never thought I could do this as a career.
Yeah.
Because like, people don't like, it's a thing now. So like anything in the arts society that like, if enough people are doing it, it can be a career. It can be.
Yeah, we need the rich, because that took a rich person to be like, I want a mermaid at my fucking fancy ass birthday party. So
and now there's
we
like
just
a school for being trained
to
do that. There's, there's like all these different things.
So if it goes back to dancing, then we need the venues, we need the production companies, we need the DJs to value dancers at the same level as DJs, because
we're using a lot of energy.
You fly out DJs, you tour them around, and then there are so many times we get stopped and we're like, the only reason I even come here is for the dancers. We love you guys, and that's not the case for something like Odessa, but they have their whole drum line, and like it adds so much to their show, and you're like, oh my God, it's a whole thing. But it's so much easier to criticize than to actually go and put yourself out there and to be brave and do something kind of on the fringe and be an artist.
And we're talking like, Sequoyah was mentioning like not a lot of money, like literal chump change, like legitimately,
like it'll pay for my gas.
I have a show, I have my first like paid gig in San Francisco next month, and when the person reached out, by the way, if I can plug that real quick, it's called Sahra. It's going to be at Berber in San Francisco. It's this really awesome Moroccan like dinner theater restaurant, and there's going to be a whole professional belly dance show.
Oh, with Issa?
It's going to be amazing. No, it's going to be Zoe Jakes, Nicole Maria, nice. Sultana, a bunch of other dancers. So I'll be in there. So when I got asked to do that show, Zoe was like, hey, like I was wondering if you wanted to do this. It's not a lot of money, $100, you know what I mean? I'm like, $100?
No way.
I'm like legitimately though, you know what I mean? That is more than I make for most of my dance gigs. Like there's
it's hard to be a dancer. It's always been hard to be a
like
dancer.
I'll get like 100 or 150 to do like some sort of like cultural project that has like a grant attached to it. There's like a budget for you know what I mean? So like every once in a while I'll get like 1 or 150 or something like that to do something. But like so rarely is it like $100 or more. Like it's nearly like all my gigs are at less than $100.
Yeah,
So
and I mean we don't have
like,
managers, we don't have contracts where
and she's
like for
it's
DJs
not a lot,
they're
just $100. I'm like, that's more than I ever.
But it's like, you know, like DJs have a manager that's like, that's not good enough. No, we need like 1,500. No, we need at least 25. Like otherwise, we're not coming and we're not signing this contract. So yeah,
like,
it's hard for us, but it all goes back to the biggest.
I'm like, we use so much energy to dance for as long as we do, and like that should be taken into consideration. Like, hey, you're literally working out on stage for all these people, and like
we're putting wear and tear on our actual physical vessels, like not a piece of equipment. Like we live in our bodies. It's physically taxing, it's emotionally taxing, and it's financially taxing because we're expected to have these outfits for all these different themes and all these different shows and all these different genres. So if it goes back to the venue owners and the people with the money and people like, you know, Golden Voice and things like that, if they start seeing dance as valuable as it truly is, and then putting aside the money, budgeting for us appropriately, and then we show up so much more motivated, and we have the crowd feels like we are so happy, we look great, we're on point, we're like, and we feel valued, we feel important and grateful.
And that's the thing is like I already feel grateful, and this is another part of this whole societal conversation that we're talking about. I already feel like immensely and immeasurably grateful to get paid to dance
at all.
Like that is like blowing my mind. The fact that I get paid to dance is like insane to me. Like even if it's just like whatever little petty cash it is. But it's like like so to be in a place in society where we could, you know, just like up
what a dream.
Like I'm grateful, you know what I mean? And so like, you know, if society could like like reciprocate that like gratitude, you know what I mean? Like that would be like amazing.
What a dream. What a dream.
I have
that would
to
be.
go.
I think it's probably a good time to end it though, y'all. I really appreciate you guys for coming in. This has been a great episode, and I feel like there's a lot more to talk about too. And so that's something that I always tell all my guests is that you guys are always welcome on the pod. So whenever you guys are ready to come back.
Yeah, if you guys want us to come back, show some love.
That's it. Exactly. Now it's going to be a great time. Next time, maybe get some different, you know, dancers, more people in, you know what I mean? It'd be a nice little mix. But this one was great. And I'm just so thankful that you guys got these stories out.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thanks for everyone listening, watching.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
all the sponsors.
Any up and coming dancers, just be yourself.
Yes.
Come audition. Come dance with us.
Come audition, please. Men, come on, or mask.
Yeah,
you know, even just
everyone.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But everybody, all genders or non-genders.
Yes.
All bodies.
All bodies.
All bodies.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you for coming.
Have a good rest of you guys this afternoon.
Yeah. You too. Bye.